Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This kit review covers the Max D Monster Jam Snap Tight truck in 1/25th scale. This new Revell model kit is number 85-1989, and it's a skill level 2 build and play kit for builders 8 and up, with 53 parts molded in gray, black, clear, and orange, with huge soft rubber tires and metal axles. The body is accurately molded of high-impact plastic, and it has a pre-decorated flag. To top it off, it comes with a couple LR44 button batteries that power some exciting arena sounds. Everything about this kit calls for fast-paced action, just like the original Max D Maximum Destruction monster truck. When you're done, the dimensions are about 8.5 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 4.25 inches tall. If you've ever been to a Monster Jam arena, you know the excitement when those cars and trucks start coming in and showing off their big footprints. This one has some exciting arena sounds, followed by revving up the engine and getting ready to take that first big jump. Listen. Here are the contents of this kit. As you can see, they are individually poly-bagged segments for construction with some great looking decals and the instructions. Now, some people might call this an open box review, and they'd pick up each piece and tell you about it if they could find some words, but that won't help you build the kit. So we're going to show you how to do just that. The kit comes with some colorful stickers, as you can see here, and while they're pretty easy to install, you might find it useful to use a pair of tweezers for some of the smaller ones to put them in place. This is a snap and play kit, so you won't need any glue, and most every joint is a good match and stays together well once you press it together. Now grab these parts out of the kit, and we're going to build the suspension and floor pan along with the engine and assemble those pieces. The engine's a 4-part unit at this point, so just put that together and then snap it into place, as well as the floor pan onto the chassis, and you'll be ready for the next step. In step 3 in the instructions, we'll be assembling the driver and the floor pan along with the nitrous bottles, etc. So go ahead and snap these pieces together. The seat takes a little bit of extra pressure to put it into the slots there, but everything else assembles real easily. So put those together and we'll have our fella ready to take his jump. In step 4, we're going to go ahead and gather some of these pieces and assemble the floor plate and the driver to the chassis, and then just behind that we'll be putting the radiator and the fuel cell into place. Now assemble the steering column and the station there where it's assembled, the column assembly, and attach that to the front glass. Now snap the glass in front with the steering wheel, and then the back plate goes right behind the driver, and it's another clear piece. And also notice that there are some things, some bosses sticking out there that will be putting the roll cage through, so those go on the outside of the passenger compartment. There are several bosses and receivers on the roll cage that we'll use to connect it together. Now it looks intimidating, but if you take the top two and slide them into those slots on the window glass, it'll kind of guide you by putting the right side cage on first and just pushing it on all the way down until it's seated. And then we're going to add the left side of the cage and snap the receivers together in their bosses. Now you can see the circles here that show where the right side is threaded through, and then you just simply match it up with the left side and snap those together. In steps 7 and 8, you're simply going to take the bottom braces and snap those onto the chassis in the little slots that are provided for them. You can see the red circles here and where those parts are supposed to be snapped into, and you can move them around. They're pretty durable. Just snap them into place, all four. With the roll cage in place, step 9 and 10 has us install the headers to the motor. Now there's a small slot in the outsides of the engine where the headers are installed, and the exhaust pipes there then of course curled down over a frame piece that runs just underneath those. The problem is it's hard to get your fingers in there. So what I did was I just used a small standard blade flat screwdriver and pushed those into position. Even so, if you want to keep this together, you may want to use a little super glue to attach those to the engine, just in case. The 4 shock absorbers are installed next in steps 11 and 12, and they're all the same, so they can go on in any location. But I found it easy to snap the lower section in under the chassis, and then add the small receiver boss, and then push it into the plate with a hole in it up on the frame second. It just seemed to install and go together easier that way. Now here is a view of the shock absorbers in the front end and also in the back end, so that you can see more clearly where they're located. Now we can gather these parts to assemble the wheels and the axles, and of course there's 4 with the large balloon tires. And just to start out, push the rear hubs, the whole hubs there, into one side or the other of the tires. But note that these are a directional type of tire. As you're putting these together, the points as you're rolling forward would hit the surface of the pavement first, so they're coming across and down, and that's the direction that the tires are oriented. Now, once you've gotten to the point where you've inserted the hub into one side of the tire, just work that around and seat that into the little groove in the back end there, and then leave the hub inside on the front side of the tire. You can actually do this wrong by pushing it all the way through, as it looks like it should be, but actually you're going to leave it on the inside of the tire, and then you're going to trap it into position in there by snapping one of the orange trim rings into it and inside the diameter of the tire. And that's the proper installation. Now we're going to install the axles, and I used a small tack hammer to actually drive the axles into one side of the tires, and keep in mind your direction for the tires to make sure they go on the right sides. And then once that's seated on one side of your vehicle's tires, slide that through where the you see the arrows here, and there's some small openings for those axles to go through. And then holding the tire with the axle already installed in one hand, then just push the other side on and just kind of twist it with a back and forth motion until it seats and closes up. And you'll have all your tires in position then. It's time to add the colorful stickers to the vehicle, and these are nicely done. They're pretty durable actually. Even like some of the larger ones, if you do get them stuck in position, you could carefully peel them off and then reattach them, but I recommend trying to get them in the right place the first time, just so you don't have to stretch them. So we're going to go ahead and install those. I started with the larger ones first, and then went to the smaller ones, and there are a couple here though that you will not attach at this time, and they look like instrument gauges, but they are not, and we'll get to those a little later. We'll add the body spikes to the body now, and these consist of some some soft vinyl strips with the spikes on them, and they are just placed through the holes in the corresponding areas on the body, and they all fit with a little ridge there so that they stay put for the most part. And I found it easiest to start at the outward extremes in the front and back, and then work towards the middle of the car. But really, you just lay those spikes into the holes, and then you start pressing them down and filling them into their positions. And once they're done, it's really a brilliant stroke, because instead of being molded into the body where they could actually harm a child, these soft rubber strips won't hurt anyone, and yet they give the appearance of being just like the original Max D. So go ahead and install all the strips now at this time. With the spike strips in place, we can turn our attention to the window glass, and this installs from the outside, and yet the upper section where you'd have your visors, that kind of snaps into some nacelles that are at the top inside of the body, and then just from underneath push the front end of the windshield up on the ledge of the back end of the hood, and it'll stay right in position there once you get that snapped into place. With the spike strips and the decals on and the window in place, your body is just about finished. So we'll be adding that to the chassis shortly. I decided to install the big door emblems first before adding the body to the chassis, because sometimes you need to put finger pressure on the backside to squeeze these into position. And here's where those two small round decals come into play. They are placed up on top of the head there as the emblem for Max D. So go ahead and add those stickers into place, and then you can go ahead and snap the side emblems into place too. And it's kind of crazy, because there's some really colorful graphics there on the doors with the stickers. And if you just filled those holes in, you could almost get away with leaving them off. But that's a choice that you get to make. We're almost done already, and all that's really left is to snap the body onto the chassis, and that just is done easily by spreading out the sides of the body a little bit and pushing it down over the tires. It'll nestle right in on top of the frame there and snap into place. And it comes off easy because, well, these things crash a lot, so you're going to want something that'll come apart and go back together. There's also a colorful flag just like the real one, and that goes into a receiver hole at the back of the chassis. You can see the flag and the arrow here point to that direction. There's just one last thing to do before you're ready for action, and you can see the arrow here. That points to where the protective strip is removed from that slot so that the batteries are engaged for the sound system. Also, the screw there that's indicated by the red circle, that's what you would use to remove the hatch to replace the batteries later on. Well, there you have it. This kit is aimed at the youngster with easy snap-tight construction. You can't build it wrong. In most cases, the bosses and receivers are all made so that parts only go together one way. That means they'll always be oriented properly and should seat in position. Now this one captures the appeal of the Max D Monster Jam truck, complete with arena sounds. It's made of durable plastic and makes a great build and play toy that a youngster would be proud to build. Now you may need to help out a little bit if the child is younger with the roll cage and the sticker placement. Also, the wheel assembly and the headers are going to be a little bit of an issue, but you just have to step in there and show them how to do those. And of course, you'll find that right here in this review. But other than that, once it's done, that child is going to be proud to play with this. And if I were you, I would buy one and put it on their shelf. We hope you like this premium step-by-step model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can find us on Facebook and at our website right on relpicas.com. Thanks!